So this is going to be the nutrition module within CoachMePlus, and this can be used by really anybody determined by your organization. So if your organization decides that it is pertinent for the strength coach to be able to set macronutrient targets and calorie goals for their athletes, they can go ahead and turn this on. Of course, this tool was built with the practitioner in mind, the dietitians, the nutritionists, thinking of who's going to be able to use this module. You're going to be able to customize macronutrient targets, calorie targets. You can make meal plans through this and track progress day to day within the platform. So I'm going to start this in an athlete's profile page. And from this profile page, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to their nutrition widget. There's multiple ways to get here, but the easiest way is right through their nutrition page. And I'm going to click in from there. And once I'm in here, basically this person has not logged any food or set any macro targets. So within this, what I'm going to start is as the coach, as the practitioner, I can go ahead into the macro target setting menu. And I have many options within here. I can just say I already know what I want to do. With the manual setting, I can set them a daily calorie target, give them macro splits, and away you go. But there's other options. So we have calculators in here as well. So I can use multiple equations to calculate both basal metabolic rate, and I can also use, if I jump into a calculator here, I can use an activity level multiplier to just basically set a baseline of maybe maintenance calories for somebody, or just to see how much they might burn in a given day over the course of a week. And from this menu, basically, I'm going to pick the Mifflin-Saint-Jean equation, and I'm going to say that this person is a moderately active person. And when you do select that, you've got moderate exercise 3 to 5 days per week labeled underneath. So you know exactly what you're looking at. So maybe this person's more active than that. So you can jump into very active, which then updates this down to hard exercise 6 to 7 days per week. Or maybe that's too much, you could dial it back. So you've got options there to add to your calculator. And by no means is this gospel, it's guidelines. You do have the option to switch between metric and imperial units, and then you can go ahead and set your data. So you can say this person's 6'1" and they weigh 215 pounds and they are 22 years old. They are male. I can then calculate, and then in that box, in the daily calorie target box, it's going to populate with a number that is essentially the system's estimate using this calculator and the activity level multiplier to estimate that person's maintenance calories. So this person's right around 3150 for their daily calorie target in terms of maintaining. And you can take that number however you like. If you're a coach that wants them to be putting on weight or making sure that they have a surplus of energy, maybe they've got a hard training week coming up or something like that, you can fully go in and then say, all right, great, thanks for the calculator. I want to go back to manual. This calorie target's saved. And then I can say, all right, never mind, we're going to do a 3,200 calorie target just to make sure we have a little bit of buffer. You can go higher, you can go lower, whatever you need to do. From there, you can then build in and edit their split. Maybe they are somebody that doesn't need 280 grams of protein in a day, or maybe you just want their diet to be 30% protein and a little bit more carb. Maybe they're an endurance athlete, so you can drop this a bit lower so that you're making sure that their carbohydrate number is a little bit higher, and save those goals. Now, once I hit save, I've got a bunch of options with this menu that I can kind of take and play with. I can go into meal splits, and this is, again, if somebody is, maybe they're a snacker, something like that, this meal split can be customized to say, we're going to go back to baseline here just so that my target totals hit 30s. And this is going to be 10 for now. So I'm at 100%. I know exactly what I'm getting out of these macronutrient totals and my calorie totals. But maybe say that this person loves to snack. So you want to give them more than 320 calories a day on snacks. I'm going to go ahead and drop breakfast down 5% for an example. And then maybe I'll drop lunch down 5%. I'll keep dinner as is. And then I can either grab the slider or I can just type in my new number, click off that box as I miss. I can click off and sit 20%. And now this person's got 640 calories in their day to play with for their snacks. They still have a good calorie base for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and save that target. I can further customize it. As you can see, I got more menus down here where I'm going to customize their macros. This does require you to do a little bit of manual math, so you can just leave it as is. It is just guidelines after all, but maybe you do have a target. Maybe they're eating breakfast before a long run day and you want their target of protein and carbs to be slightly different. So maybe we'll shoot for 40 grams of protein in the morning and 100 grams of carbs for breakfast. And then I just need to know that I would then go ahead and drop down maybe my lunch and bring it up to just make up the gap, essentially to keep everything where it was. Again, that's a lot of manual math. You can just leave it. It can just be your loosely gathered targets. It is just 4 meals technically, where they can log their food wherever they'd like within that menu. So it's okay. The last target that I'll show you, the last tool I'll show you on this interface for the practitioner is being able to actually build out like a meal plan. I'm going to go ahead and delete this meal and just come in here and say, I might have a few meals for each, a few ideas for each meal that they can go ahead and grab as they're logging food. Instead of thinking of a recipe, instead of thinking about how to log individual ingredients, I can build that for them through this menu. And then all they have to do is just follow exactly what I've told them to do. So keeping breakfast nice and simple, when I say add breakfast suggestion, this box becomes the meal. So I get the totals of the meal, and then I'll see the list of foods that I select at the bottom. So I'm just gonna be very simple with this, and I'm gonna search for a banana. I have my search broken down with every result, branded foods and common foods. I just want a banana. So I'm gonna go ahead, I can modify serving size of the banana, but again, it's a banana. I'm just gonna go ahead, drop that in, and now I see that my circles are starting to populate with some of the data. I see what I've selected thus far, and I can move on to the next. So maybe then I'm gonna throw a bagel at them. It's gonna be for a runner, we'll say. So I have one medium bagel, and of course, if it's not just like a common thing, maybe you've got a specific brand of bagel. So Asiago bagel from Manhattan Bagel is going to be a little different. So I'm going to add that to their breakfast, and maybe from there I want them to have a protein shake with it. So we'll say they throw a tablespoon of butter on their bagel, being kind of friendly with this. I can hit the plus button here to add it to the meal, and you can just see I'm starting to add things in to the meal. I am making this up on the fly. So Dymatize, I'm going to say we're going to have a 2-scoop shake. So I'm going to edit that serving size. I can take a look at what that's going to give me, and I can look at that up top and add it. Now I know I'm over my protein goal, I'm under my carbs goal, and I'm under my fat goal. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? So that's okay, but I can go in and just remove this instead and say, you know, maybe I would like less protein. So I'm just going to go with 1 scoop of the Dymatize protein powder and save it that way. So now I'm almost on point with that protein goal. I'm almost right at that carbs goal, and I've got some fat to play with. So maybe you can give me more butter, whatever you want to do with it. But that's the meal, and they would see that exact thing, that exact breakdown in their meal log when they go to log this, which you'll see in a second. So I'm going to save that meal suggestion, and I'm good to go. I can continue that. I can add another breakfast meal. I can create dinner, lunch, and snack recommendations, and I can save the screen. I can build out a full meal plan if I want, so that this person has a ton of options throughout the day. There's no real limit to what you can build into this menu. The more tools you give your athletes, the better, right? So I can split between these tabs as many times as I want. I can go back and check and see where I'm at for any of these things. But with that said, that is the main practitioner tools and build out for the nutrition module for your athletes now. So now when that person logs in, they would see their macro targets when they go to log some food. And then as they start logging food, you would be able to then go ahead and check on their progress and see how that looks. So switching to the athlete view. All right, so now I am logged in as the athlete that I just set goals for to give you their idea of the view. So the view is very similar. When they log in, they can go ahead and they can see their nutrition module, and they can see they have a goal set. So they have 0 out of 3,200 calories hit so far. When I log in as this athlete, I can go ahead and see what my macro targets are. I can see what my goals are for the day, and I can see if I have any meal suggestions. If I click into this menu, I see that one meal that I just built for them, and I can just say add all, and boom, my breakfast is done. I've got that logged as the athlete. I can also, as that athlete user, I can go ahead and add food separately to a meal. So maybe I had some chicken breast for lunch. I can type that in and go to my common foods and say, here's my chicken breast. I can change what the serving looks like. So maybe I had, you know, a 6-ounce chicken breast. I go hit 1 ounce and I hit 6 servings of that to hit my 6 ounces. You see what that's going to give you, and then you can go ahead and add to lunch. What you also have the option to do as this user is to add a custom food. So if you're searching for something, you've built a recipe, you've got something else that you're adding in, as the athlete, I have the ability to build out my own food library, my own custom recipes that I can use as many times as I want once I've built it. So you would just fill out this form if you have that information available to you, and you can go ahead and drop that in, and you save it as Mike's Magical Chicken Breast recipe, whatever it is, and then you can use that in your food log for the rest of time. So I'm gonna call it that, Mike's Magical Chicken Breast recipe. I'll just call it 1 serving. And then we can play with the information on it. So let's say it's 300 calories. This is gonna be super ballpark. So we'll say it's 4 grams of fat, and it's gonna have 200 milligrams of sodium in it. Maybe I added some stuff to it. So I've got 10 grams of carbs involved with the recipe, 1 gram of fiber, no sugars. And that leaves me with roughly 19 grams of protein. Again, this is ballpark quick math. So there we go, I built my recipe out. This Mike's Magical Chicken Breast recipe now can be added to my lunch, and I can search for it anytime I want. So that will live in my library forever and ever, and I can build out my targets, and I can see as I'm tracking throughout the day, as I'm adding food, I can see my progress towards my goals. Equally so, I can then go back to the practitioner view, and I can go into that user's profile. Go into my athletes. And I can view their progress myself. So in that nutrition widget, I see that I've got their progress towards their targets for the day. If I click into that as the practitioner, as the coach, as the dietitian, I can go ahead and check up on them. So I see that they've eaten X amount of calories, X amount of protein, carbs, and fat. I can see their progress towards their goals here. I can also see their micronutrient intake. So if there's something like iron or sodium or magnesium that I want to keep tabs on and make sure they're either hitting a goal or staying underneath the threshold on certain things, or hitting a minimum threshold on certain things, I can check that through this menu, and I can see if I click on breakfast, I can expand it and see, oh look, they ate the meal that I gave them. So you can check in and see what that product is that they've eaten, and you're good to go. So that's how you follow and update, and there's no way you're stuck within here. So maybe they hit their 3,200 calorie target, and they come to you and they say that they're still not feeling great energy-wise. If you look at the food they're taking in, the food looks good, maybe they just need more. All I have to do is go to the Manage Targets menu, and I can bump that number up very easily without changing much. Maybe I'm gonna give them an extra 300 calories a day, save it, and that's all it takes to go ahead and change that up and switch it up for your athlete. So that should be all the new tools and the updated work for the nutrition module. So this tool can be used by a wide range of clientele and wide range of athlete as well. So we've had this used by NFL teams, NHL teams, Major League Baseball teams, as well as your high school teams, NFL teams. But in different scenarios, this has also been used by tactical clients with firefighters, police officers, and paramedics. It's been used at the FDNY. It's also been used by a wide range of clients to include coal miners and other industrial athletes working at factories and things like that to track just basics on nutrition. It doesn't have to be overly complex. So if your organization decides that it is pertinent for the strength coach to be able to set macronutrient targets and calorie goals for their athletes, they can go ahead and turn this on. Of course, this tool was built with the practitioner in mind, the dietitians and the nutritionists in mind, thinking of who's going to be able to use this module. You're going to be able to customize macronutrient targets, calorie targets. You can make meal plans through this and track progress day to day, just using the module itself. But what you can also do is tie this into the system, and you can plot any data point from micronutrients, macronutrients, up to calorie intake on a graph, and you can put that next to training load, you can put that next to sleep, you can put that next to hydration and water intake. There's no limits to where you can put this in the system, what you can put this next to make sure that you have the holistic picture of your athlete's overall nutritional profile and performance profile in general, obviously depending on what their goal is over time.